Hi everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. Today I just want to talk about how to be an ally to a transgender person. More importantly than anything, I think it's just important to listen to transgender people. We are here, we exist, we have voices, and a lot of us are trying to use our voice for the better. You can't always tell if you're talking to a transgender person. We're not always identifiable, and oftentimes even myself, like oftentimes people will not know that I'm transgender unless I let them know, or sometimes my voice will give it away, sometimes they'll notice my Adam's apple, but oftentimes like you won't know that you're talking to a trans person. Trans people come in all shapes, sizes. Some trans people don't choose to transition. Being trans does not require transition at all. Many people are perfectly comfortable with their body and don't feel any dysphoria, so they just don't feel like they need to do anything, and that's perfect. And that doesn't make them any less or more trans. One important thing to understand is that being transgender is completely different from being lesbian, gay, or bisexual, or any other sexuality. Sexuality and gender are completely separate. So you should never ever assume a transgender person's sexual identity. Like, you can't assume that a trans person is automatically straight or gay. Like, you don't know if I, as a trans woman, am attracted to men or women unless I tell you. Transgender people may use different pronouns than you expect. Some people use she, her, some people use he, him, some people use they, them, some people use alternatives to these. Just make sure if a transgender person lets you know what their pronouns are, that you're using the correct pronouns. If you don't know someone's pronouns, it's okay to ask, and more importantly, you should just listen. When referring to a transgender person, you should also always use their correct name. And for example, my name is Rosalind. I used to go by a different name. My parents gave me a different name, but this is the name that I now use. And it's also the name that my parents used to refer to me as, so please do not dead name a trans person. Do not dead name me. My name is Rose. Another important point to remember is you should always be patient with a transgender person who is still figuring out their identity. It took me probably about 1.5 years to finally admit to myself I am a woman. Like, I spent 1.5 years questioning myself, wondering, am I non-binary? Do I want to use they, them pronouns? And like, I even like told like multiple different friends at the time, like, I think I'm kind of just gender non-conforming, like I'm kind of exploring that idea. And I also know a lot of trans people who identified as the opposite gender than they were assigned at birth. And then after transition and like after a few years of self-discovery, they realize, oh, actually, I am not a male as I was assigned at birth. I'm not a female as I thought I was. Actually, I'm non-binary, and that's a perfectly okay progression for people to go through. Just be patient with your friends, listen, and try to be understanding, even when they're confused about their own gender identity, because it's really, really hard to figure that stuff out. And I mean, having gone through it myself, it takes a long time. If you really want to be a transgender ally, a really important thing to do is to always challenge anti-transgender marks in public. If you hear a joke making fun of transgender people in public by a friend, by a coworker, by a boss, you should always call that out. In order to set an inclusive tone when addressing a large group, I think language can be really important. A lot of people don't like hearing the word guys to describe themselves. I personally, I don't mind when people address a group that I'm in and call us guys. I no longer say you guys when addressing a group, just to try to be more inclusive of other genders other than guys. It's better to say you all, or hello friends, hello people, hello colleagues. There's a lot of gender neutral terms that you could use in place of you guys. Most of this video has been about what things you can do to be an ally, but there's also some things that you shouldn't do. Just know that it's pretty much never okay to ask a trans person what's in between their legs. Unless you're gonna have sex with a person who's trans and they want to have sex with you and it's all consensual, you should never ever ask about a transgender person's genitals. Another important thing is just to not out people. A lot of transgender people are just living their truth, and they are done with transition or just never did transition, and they're just living their lives happily now, and they don't need to go through that awkwardness of being outed to someone who didn't know and who maybe wouldn't react well if they knew. It's usually okay in my circumstance to out me. I don't usually have an issue with that. I mean, I have a YouTube channel that I literally talk about everything, so it's pretty much, it's okay to let people know that I'm trans unless I tell you otherwise. But to be honest, I do really, really love situations in which people don't know that I'm trans. On December 31st of 2016, like the first day of 2017, I went to a New Year's party and no one knew I was trans there except for the two friends that I went with. And it was incredible. Like, I was able to just talk with other girls and just relate to girls. We just had a real connection, and they didn't need to know that I was trans to have that connection. Because it doesn't matter, like, I'm just another girl, and that's all they saw. And it was just a really euphoric moment, because sometimes I can get really dysphoric being reminded that I'm transgender and being around people who knew me before and just remind me of that dark place that I was in right before transitioning. So sometimes that can be hard. But again, like, anyone can see my public channel and know that I'm trans, so like, I'm okay with people knowing I'm trans, but like, I do love those moments where people don't know. But a lot of trans people are really uncomfortable when you let others know that they're trans. Lastly, you should also know that there are limits. Not everyone knows everything, and even I, a transgender person, don't know everything there is to know about being trans, but I can tell you what I've gone through and how I feel, and the overall consensus that I've gotten from a lot of trans people that I know and that I have followed and that I've read about or seen on TV. There's a lot of resources out there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on other social media platforms. I'll see you all in the next video.